Hi, I'm Paul, part of the Projecis team, and I want to welcome everybody to this webinar. If there are any questions during the course of the meeting, please feel free to type it into the questions box. However, if there are any questions after the meeting, please feel free to email me at paul@projecis.com. As we go through the webinar, I'd like you to think about what are the bottlenecks in your processes and how do you want them to be addressed? What kind of activity demands do you want to offload or automate? And what is preventing your team from operating more effectively or efficiently? These are some of the things that I'd like you to keep in mind as we go through the Projecis presentation and imagine how Projecis can help you in answering some of these questions. Projecis was founded in 2009 and we're based in San Diego. We are customer-centric and work closely with all of our customers. In fact, most of the features that you're going to see today were actually envisioned by our customers. We do have a global presence. We have customers all over the world, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and the United States. We also have a variety of customers in a lot of different industries. A lot of the industry examples I have here are in the healthcare industry, but we have customers in engineering, accounting, legal, as well as others. Now in today's webinar, we'll be focusing on the Projecis software. However, we do have another arm of our company, which is Pro Services. The Pro Services arm is a custom house where we can create dashboards, custom reports, data integration, import, export of information, also international conferencing and management consultation. Most of this is focused around the Projecis software platform. For example, let's say you're working with a billing software or a enrollment type of software, and you want to bring some of that information into Projecis so you can view it and use Projecis as more of a control panel across your entire software suite. We can actually do that for you. Additionally, when we talk about international conferencing, conference call features are built within Projecis. However, some of our clients want internationally dedicated landline numbers. We can do that. That's largely a pass-through expense plus an administration fee, but we can set those up for you. But we're going to spend all of our time, balance of our time on the Projecis software. We were noted as one of the top 20 most promising knowledge management solution providers. I like using the term knowledge management because it really encompasses a lot of pieces of information that you might be using in your projects or with your teams in general. We try to manage that information in one place. We also have a variety of case studies that are available on our website if you'd like to take a look. Now, Projecis is a collaboration knowledge management tool. It is meant to keep information in one place and really collaborate with your customers, your team members, or consultants that you might be working with. It is a productivity tool. It does some of the work for you automatically, and we'll see that in the examples as we move forward. And all your information is centralized in one place. Now, traditionally, you might be working with a variety of entities. They could be internal entities like internal departments, or they could be external, such as clients, consultants, partner companies, and so on. Normally, you'd be exchanging information in a variety of methods, such as attached emails, attached files, threaded emails, meetings, reports, and so on. However, managing these with a lot of entities can be kind of complicated. You can use Projecis to actually manage that information and share it all in one place. So not only you can go to one place and get that information, but so can your entities that you're working with, whether they're internal or external. A lot of time, certainly I've experienced this, is spent actually exchanging information. And sometimes that information is redundant. They'll ask you for information that you've already provided. Since all the information is maintained in one place, they can always go to the same place to get that information. Projecis has a lot of features. We're going to be going over a variety of these features in this particular webinar. However, there are some shorter webinars that are focused on specific features themselves. Please be on the lookout for those webinars if you'd like to take a look at those. Additionally, you can always contact me, and we can also always set up a time to go over some of these specific features as well. Coming next month, we'll be releasing dashboards. Now, when you first log into Projecis, there's already a dashboard within it. However, in the future, you're going to be allowed to create user-defined dashboards and user-defined metrics. As a result, you can actually create different dashboards for each one of your projects. And that should be coming out next month. Projecis can be used in a variety of ways, and this is just some examples. But as we move forward in the presentation and in the live demo, you can imagine how it can be used. For example, onboarding team members. When you're either bringing a person onto a project, or let's say you're bringing a person onto your company, you might want to train them and keep, provide information to them. Task management, work progression and monitoring, document workflows, centralization of information, project status, and even search. Projecis has an in-depth search that allows you to search inside documents across all of your projects. So let's say you had a document that said greater than 150, and it should have said greater than 175. I can actually search across all of my projects and find those documents and where they are. Current pricing is $18 per seat per month. You can pay monthly, and that's a standard, or quarterly. You can also pay semi-annually and annually. And if you pay semi-annually and annually, you can get a discount. You can also adjust the seats up or down. We do not charge by project or storage, and training is included. There are some additional options. You can have basically a project manager help you with your software, and even group training. When we talk about group training, we do include basic training. However, some of our clients want us to train each one of their employees as they come on board. As you can imagine, that could be a lot. So that it would not be covered in the standard pricing. And there are volume discounts provided. If you are not currently a Projecis subscriber, we certainly would recommend that you become one. There is going to be a price increase that is planned for November or December of 2016. We don't have an exact date. It could be anywhere from mid-November through the end of December. If there is any discounting, the discounting will also be on a scale related to the price increase. Now, before I go into the live demo, I want to go over permissions real quickly. There are a variety of subscription level permissions, but we will really focus on project level permissions. A person can be assigned to be a leader on one project, a regular member on another project, and a publisher on a third project. And they might not even be invited to the fourth project. People only see content of projects that they are invited to. They do not see contents of projects that they are not involved in. In fact, if they're not involved in a project, they do not see a project at all. The only exception is if you're an administrator. If you're an administrator, you can see a project, but you cannot see a project's contents unless you're actually a member of that project. However, administrators have a variety of permissions that allow them to certainly invite themselves into a project if necessary. So just to keep that in mind. But a person who's a leader on a project does not have to be an administrator at all. So let's go ahead into the live demo. In this case, I've logged in as Luke Skywalker. And you can see here, when you first log in, I'm on the My Perspective page. It gives me a snapshot of the calendar of a week, top stories, recent activity, and to-do items. And these are all across my projects. As you can see here, this is a WSHU project. This is a meeting project, and this is a GIS certification project. Additionally, this is recent activity across my projects, and these are my to-do items. These to-do items are all red because they are all well overdue. Now, firstly, before I jump into a project, I want to go over communication tools. One of the things I can do here is, for example, with R2D2, I can chat with R2D2. If I click on chat, it'll open up a chat window, and I can chat with them, attach a file, and even record the chat. If I record the chat, both members of the chat are actually informed that it's going to be recorded, and it will be saved to Projecis as an impromptu meeting. So it actually gets saved to a project. So for example, I might be chatting with R2D2, and he might say, well, do you have my numbers for this month? I'd like to take a look at it. I can actually attach the numbers here in the chat and then record the chat saying, listen, the numbers were a little low. Let's brainstorm on how we might increase it for next month. And that, because it's a recorded chat, it became an impromptu meeting and can get saved to a project. Additionally, I can send a ping. A ping is a short message that I can send to R2D2. And let's say it's call Professor so-and-so. And once I send the ping, an email will be always sent to them. If they're on Projecis, they'll receive a chat message. I can have a text message go to their cell phone and even have a text-to-voice message go to their landline all at the same time. Another thing I can do is always directly call them. If I click on call, it will connect my microphone speakers on my computer, and I can always call their work phone or their mobile phone, whatever is actually in the system. So let's go ahead and jump into a project. I'm going to jump into Project Rhodoprophia, and we can see that the format is the same as the workspace management area, except now all the information is specific to this given project. The assignments are really embedded in milestones, tasks, and tickets. What's the difference between the three? Well, a milestone is a basket of things that need to be done by a particular point in time. Tasks are those tasks that might be affiliated with a milestone and actually part of the project plan. So milestones and tasks are those particular assignments that are part of the project plan. They are already planned in order for this project to be completed. Tickets, however, are those items that come up during the course of the program. So let's quickly take a look at milestones. As I mentioned, a milestone is a basket of things that need to be completed by a point in time. And we can see here there are a variety of milestones, and we can see that there are a variety of tasks, tickets, and maybe even comments associated with a milestone. If I click on a milestone, it will open up and show you the list of tasks and tickets associated with this particular milestone. It'll also show who it's assigned to, the date it's due, and the % complete. If an item is running behind, I can quickly click on that particular item, in this case a task. It'll open up this task, and I can view the comments and edits associated with this task. So with my team, I usually ask them to update their task once every few days, or if something dramatic happens and I need to know about. In this case, the task is running behind due to SOP approval. If I were to write a comment or attach a file and post that comment, not only is it saved within Projecis, but the person that it's assigned to will automatically receive an email. So as I mentioned before, it is a productivity platform. So instead of writing down notes and then going out and creating an email, all I do is type in the notes and then post it, and the person that owns this task will automatically be notified. Similarly, let's say Brea Organa, in this particular case, hasn't updated her task in quite a while. All I have to do is click on Request Status Update, and will automatically email the owner of this task that I'm requesting an update of the status. Now, milestones and tasks create Gantt charts. I've opened up this particular Gantt chart, and we can see the Gantt chart. The milestones are in blue, and the tasks associated with this particular milestone are in white. Only milestones and tasks are reflected in Gantt charts, not tickets. We can see some of the tasks are dark blue, some are light blue, and some are stacked bars. The dark blue represents % complete. This particular task is 45% complete, so only 45% of the task is a dark blue. So as a project leader, I can quickly look at this particular task, and they should be turning from a light blue to a dark blue, moving from left to right. And if they're not, I can quickly click on it, open up the comments, and view the comments associated with this task. In this case, new HR people are needed in order to complete this on time. These comments are the same comments you would see in the task tab that we just opened prior. The only exception is you do not see attachments in this environment. If I were to write a comment here and post the comment, not only will you see it in the task tab, but an email will also go to the person that owns this particular task. Also on this Gantt chart, we can see that there are a variety of dependencies. Some of them are one-to-one, some of them are many-to-one. The dependencies that we have within Projecis is finish to start. Something has to finish before task can start. And they're easy to create. All I do is click on a particular task, click on predecessors, and select the task that I want associated with this particular predecessor. I can create any number of them, and then I can remove those that I don't want. In this case, I've created a conflict. I can resolve the conflict by simply clicking on the conflicts tab, reading it, and then selecting which one I want. So in this case, it's asking whether I should shift the item I'm creating a task, I'm creating a dependency for, or should I shift the item that is going to drive the dependency. In this case, I'm going to just click on the first one and save the changes. Those items that are impacted turn to a light blue on the left-hand side and also a light blue on the right-hand side. And you can see that these are the dependencies that I just created. I can then revert the changes by simply clicking on revert changes, and it'll undo what was just done. If I save the changes, it will actually immortalize this particular change. And if I want to change it back, I'll have to go in and actually undo the change and change the dates. But in this case, I haven't saved it to the Gantt chart, so I'm going to just undo it and it'll go back. Another thing I can do here is I can share this Gantt chart. I can share the Gantt chart with those outside of Projecis. All I do is click on share, generate a URL, and then email that URL to somebody. That person then can open up that URL from their email, and they will get the exact same Gantt chart. They can hover over it, get some top line information, but they cannot click on it, and they cannot view any of the comments. They also cannot create dependencies or so on. So basically, they can't mess with your Gantt chart. But one of the advantages of giving a person a URL, let's say it's senior management, or let's say it's a consultant that's working closely with you, is that that URL will always give them the latest Gantt chart. As long as that URL was not turned off and turned on, that URL will give them the Gantt chart at the time that they click on it. So if some of the percent completes change or some of the dates are shifted, the URL will give them the latest version. So let's go back. Another thing we can also do is create baselines. Now, because this is a live Gantt chart, we might want to take a look at what happened in the past versus today. And we could see that there's been a couple of shifts here from the past. So all I'm doing is taking a snapshot that was in the past and overlaying it on today's Gantt chart. And we could see some of the shifts, whether something if there was slippage within the project, or whether things are ahead of schedule within the project. And I can create any number of these baselines. So you can imagine within our project team, we'll take a snapshot at the end of a project team meeting where there were date changes. That way we can always keep track of what the changes were over time. And if there was slippage, I should be able to click on that particular item, go to the comments, and see why there was slippage. So I'm able to follow back as to what was going on. Additionally, because I'm a leader on this project, I can create tasks and create milestones within this particular environment and do that here within the Gantt chart. I can also view this Gantt chart by resource. So before it was organized by milestone. Now it's organized by resource. So R2D2, which is this person here at the top, has these particular tasks in this particular project. So I can quickly view the tasks that are assigned to him. So if he's being transferred to another project, or let's say he's going on vacation, I can quickly see which items he's responsible for and make a decision as to whether I need an update before he leaves or reassign it to somebody else. And then I can quickly revert back. So let's close the Gantt chart for now. So the milestones and tasks are in this particular environment. Now, one thing that people like to do is currently the Gantt chart is, and the milestones and tasks are great to view on a Gantt chart, but some people like to view it in an Excel file. All I do is go to the milestones tab, click on the XLS file. It'll download that file. I can then open it up, and this is actually live, and I can view the milestones, tasks, the duration, start date, end date, who it's assigned to, percent complete, The hours estimate, hours actual, there is an ability to include hours within your particular task. And the predecessors, what has to be completed prior to the task even beginning. So all of this information is here within Projecis. Some people do like seeing the Gantt chart, others do like working with the Excel file. The next feature I'm going to go over is in the files area. The files area is the most commonly used area within Projecis. I'm going to jump directly to a couple of files. And you can see that some of these files have a number of flags on them. This one says V7, V2, and V6. That means there are 7 versions of this document here, 2 of this one, and 6 of this particular document. You can also see that this has a globe, which means it's public. Everybody on this project has access to this document. This one has a padlock, it's private, so less people have access to this document. And this has a shield, which is confidential, so even less people have access to this particular document. Let's open a document and quickly take a look at some of the features here. First of all, when you open a document, you'll get some top-line information, including effective dates. And these are dates that you can set up, and they are optional. I can also see comments and files affiliated with this particular document. So let's say this is a competitor advertising piece. I can actually say page 2 is the most important part of this piece and even attach a rebuttal to this piece all in the same place. Many of us come back to documents 6 months, a year later, and don't remember the significance of that document. So the ability to affiliate comments and files to a file gives it a lot more depth. Now, as I mentioned, I'm a leader, so I can do a variety of things here. Certainly one of the things I can do is take a look at file activity. Who looked at this file, when, and what version? Additionally, I can open up any one of the past file versions. So I can click on version 4 and it will open up version 4 in a separate tab. So I can actually compare multiple documents to each other. I can edit properties, upload new version, check out a document, share a file with those outside of Projecis, start a review, request e-signatures, manage training. So if this were, let's say, a procedures document, I can actually require people to either sign that they understood the document or even do a quick quiz. I can lock the file, request status update, archive this document, and I can even set reminders. So reminders are affiliated with either the due date of this document or the expiration date of this document. So even though expiration dates or effective dates are optional, let's say this was a contract or an SOP that needs to be reviewed every year, or an agreement for some capital equipment that needs to be reviewed, let's say a lease agreement. I can actually create effective dates around any one of these. And when a reminder is triggered, I'll get an email. That way important dates are not missed. One thing I want to go over quickly is edit properties. The reason being is that this document is currently public, and so everybody on this particular project can see this document. But I can control that with the click of a few buttons. One thing I could do is protect the document. If it is protected, it can be viewed within Projecis, but it cannot be downloaded and it cannot be printed. Another thing I can do is actually control the accessibility. Who can see this document at all? Sensitive isn't used very often, but private and confidential are. If I mark something private, I can control who has access by person, by company, by role on the project, or by groups. And these are groups that I create for this particular project. If you satisfy any one of these requirements, you have access to this document. So what's the difference between private and confidential? Well, sometimes you have projects that have multiple leaders. And you might know the point person who's always a leader, who certainly may be a leader, but there could be co-leaders on the project. So for example, let's say Princess Leia is a leader, but is not selected, nor is she part of the company, role, or group. She will have access even though she's not selected. That's the difference between private and confidential. With confidential, only the people that are selected that have access and no one else. So let's say I have a project where everyone is a leader, and that might be appropriate for 99% of the time. But let's say I want to share a document with one other individual. In this case, let's say I want to share it with Darth Vader. I can mark it confidential, and only myself and Darth Vader will have access to this document and no one else, even if there are other leaders on this particular project. Once I save the changes immediately go into effect. Now the share feature in documents is slightly different from that of the Gantt chart. So with the Gantt chart, I can also share with people outside of Projecis, but I have the ability to create a custom label. The reason being is some documents, let's say internal reports, have a variety of code names, and that is not really understandable by people outside of your company, so I can actually create a custom label, for example, status report. I can also generate an expiration date for the URL and even have a password associated with that URL and dictate whether or not it can be downloaded. Then I simply generate the URL, email it to somebody, and they can open and download the document if I allow it. Similar to the Gantt chart, however, is that URL will always give them access to the latest document. So for example, this is version 7. It will give them access to version 7 and no other version. However, if this becomes version 8, version 9, or version 10, it will open up and give them access only to the latest version at the point that they open up that URL. And then I can simply remove the URL whenever I want, or the URL may simply expire. URLs within Projecis are not reused. If I turn off the share feature and I turn it back on, it will actually generate a brand new URL. And that makes sense. Some of your projects are very long lasting, and I might have a person that's in the beginning, involved in the project in the beginning, who's not involved later in the project. So that way, not reusing URLs will not give them access to information. Additionally, as I mentioned, you can create reminders. I can create any number of reminders by simply clicking on Add Reminder. And because I'm a leader, I can create it for myself, or I can create it for a group of people. And I can have that reminder any number of days before the file is due or the file expires. As you can see here, I've created a number of reminders, and you can create a series of reminders for a given document. In this case, I've created one 1 month before the file expires, and then another one 3 days before the file expires. So very similar to a countdown to critical date. I can create multiple reminders. Another feature is the meetings or voice over IP feature within Projecis. So for example, I can create a meeting. I can put in the time, the title, the location. I can even request a conference call number. And this is included in your subscription. Even have this call recorded. I can include who should be involved in this particular meeting, type in or upload an agenda, and even attach files and click on Create Meeting. Once I create a meeting, everybody that's involved in this meeting will receive an invitation. If they accept the invitation, it will be reflected in their own Google, Outlook, or Apple Calendar. If I go back to this particular calendar, you can see that I've already created a meeting. If we take a look at the details, here's the call-in number. These are the people involved. Here's some examples of an agenda and some documents that I've uploaded to this particular meeting. And we could just use the conference call number, and that's fine. That's included in their invitation. However, Projecis also provides an additional tool called Convene. 15 minutes prior to the meeting, you'll receive an option called Join Meeting. All I do is click on Join Meeting, and it will open up a meetings environment. It will include everybody that's invited to this particular meeting. It'll also include information such as the call-in number. Now this particular call-in number, as you may notice, is a US call-in number. So our international clients, unless you have an international landline that you've signed up with us, usually do not want to use it. However, they can join the same call by simply clicking on Join Call on the left, and it will connect the microphone and speakers to the same call, same trunk. I can still mute and unmute everyone regardless of which way they join. I can always click to view the agenda. I can also view the files within Projecis, so I don't have to download files. I can simply view the files here. Now this is a conference call, so I might be asking everybody to look at the marketing presentation. However, people might be looking at the due diligence document, and I have no control over that because it is still a conference call. Now, another powerful tool is the discussions area. So let's say somebody says, can I see numbers for my region? And I can simply type in, discussion with an attachment and post that comment to the team. And they will actually can get access to this document and they can view it within Projecis. Now, normally this is something you'd have to email around. Everybody would have to open up their emails, download it, and view the document. Here, we can view it right away. And let's include another one. Let's say it's region 2. And I'm going to attach a completely different document for this one. Let's say this particular document and post this particular comment. And anybody that's participating in this meeting can attach files, can include comments. They can include questions. Another thing we can do is also type out action items during the course of the meeting. So I can say action A, let's assign action A to Obi-Wan Kenobi, include a due date, and maybe I'm going to have action B. That's going to assign this to Han Solo with a different due date. And I can go ahead and create any number of these action items, remove them, or edit them as I see fit. So we can use all of these tools while we're having a conference call. One of the advantages of using this convene environment is that once the meeting is completed, I can always go back to that meeting, open it up, and we can see not only the attendees, the agenda, and the documents, but we can also see the action items that were created, the discussions and files that were shared during the course of this particular meeting, and those particular action items automatically create tickets, and those tickets automatically are emailed to the people that they were assigned to, notifying them that they have an assignment. So all this information is done automatically. So you don't have to go out and create additional emails, let people know that they have something due. All of that is there. Additionally, I can post meeting minutes here. And if this call actually occurred and was recorded, there would be an audio file here as well. So again, all the information saved under the project and actually under that specific meeting. The last feature I want to spend a lot of time, a little bit more time on is the discussions. A lot of our information that we work with is exchanged via email. Projecis has the discussions area that works with your email. A variety of other features within Projecis also works with your email, as you can imagine, such as some of the comments in the milestones, tasks, and documents. Here, we're talking about discussions. So I can create a discussion and invite a number of people to participate. Now this project, Project Rhodoprophia, has about 25 members in this particular project. I'm inviting these 3 people along with myself to participate. You could see here there's a padlock, so it is private. Once I create this particular discussion, an email will go out to everybody that's involved in this discussion of what I've just typed in. All they have to do is reply to the email. And copy of what they type in will go to everybody involved and gets posted in Projecis at the same time. Once we come to a conclusion, I can always close the discussion so no more comments can be added, and I can even archive the discussion. Archiving the discussion removes it from the active discussions list, but does not delete it. Lastly, I'd like to go over alerts, because this is something that's being used more and more, so it's certainly worth mentioning now. An alert is very similar to ping, and I mentioned before, ping is something we can do where we want to send a quick one-way message to a particular individual. However, pings are not retained in a history log that you can easily see. There is an audit trail behind the scenes, but there is no history log that is easily accessible. Here, however, alerts do have a history log. An alert, if we create one, is very similar to a ping. However, I can send it to a group of people. So if I click on New Alert, it will open up the New Alerts environment. I can type in a title, a body of the alert, and it will always be sent via email, but I can also have it sent via text to their cell phone and text to voice message to their landline all at the same time. And similar to other areas in Projecis, I can dictate who has access by person, role, or group on this given project. Once I send the alert, it will go out to the individuals via these particular channels, and a history of the alert will be retained within the system. I can always go back on the alert, go back to the alert, take a look at what the comment or comments were affiliated in this particular alert, and see who it was sent to. So a history of all this information is maintained within the project. With that, I want to thank everybody for participating in this webinar. If there are any questions, please feel free to email me at paul@projecis.com.